Now is that vote emergency management stand part of the schedule.
Mr Chairman.
The Honourable Craig Foss.
Thank you, Mr Chair. It is an absolute pleasure. This is actually the first time I've spoken in this House as the new Minister of Civil Defence, Mr Chair, so I thought I'd better get that in. Mr Chair, let me first acknowledge, though, my predecessor, the Honourable John Carter, for the work he did in this portfolio, as I think all members in the House would appreciate, very testing and trying times and quite tragic times in our history. Mr Chair, but I also need to thank, of course, Mr John Hamilton and the wider civil defence emergency management sector at all levels of government, central, local, regional and group, for their efforts over the past year, particularly in around February 22nd, the Christchurch earthquake. Mr Chair. Mr Chair, our national approach, I'm sure as members are aware, is to achieve resilience through the initiatives of the 4 Rs: risk reduction, readiness, response and recovery. The responses to the earthquakes show that we actually do have the right approach to civil defence emergency management. I'm sure there are lessons to be learnt, Mr Chair, and as I'll note later on, reviews are underway and will be happening, but actually what we had in place already served us very, very well, Mr Chair. Mr Chair, those 4 Rs cover all aspects of emergency management, helping to ensure we don't ignore critical areas, from central government down to local government plans. The value of the 4 Rs was seen during the earthquakes, from risk reduction measures such as building codes to aspects of the recovery framework now being used by the Christchurch Earthquake Recovery Authority, CERA. And while there are lessons to be learned in all areas, as I noted earlier, those 4 Rs, our preparedness, have served us well. Mr Chair, our priorities for 2010-2011, we will continue to look at and strengthen the statutory framework for recovery after a major event. We will be reviewing and looking at the Civil Defence Act to see if there are changes to be had in that legislation, and we will be reviewing the National Civil Defence Emergency Management Plan. And of course, Mr Chair, when those plans, when the Act was written, no one contemplated something as large as this, and an organisation such as CERA needed to be created to help in the recovery of an emergency, Mr Chair. We'll be enhancing the capabilities for national management of civil defence events. The Emergency Management Information System is under trial right now and very close to being turned on, Mr Chair. That will assist all of government to be aware of all information across the country in the event of some emergency. Continue to develop community resilience through the public education program, the Get Ready, Get Through program, and taking advantage of post-Christchurch heightened awareness. And Mr Chair, we released findings today from a survey of New Zealand's preparedness and awareness of the need to be organised and prepared in the case of emergency. Mr Chair, I also take this moment to note the work of previous Civil Defence Minister, the Honourable Rick Barker, and compliment him at a recent event. The Australian guests at an event, they were talking about what's the plan SAM, and their words were, "You Kiwis are absolutely streets ahead of us, and we enjoy ongoing, and can we learn more from that?" So it's a credit to the previous Minister, Honourable Rick Barker. Mr Chair, supporting the development of the capability across the sector, there are issues, inevitably issues will arise from the various reviews. I cannot see how. There will be some interesting discussions around those, Mr Chair. And just a couple of points. The 22nd of February earthquake in Christchurch, that was a unique event, both in New Zealand's history, but in terms of the response. It's the first time a state of national emergency has been declared in New Zealand. And Mr Chair, of course, I cannot go using my time here without acknowledging the 181 tragic deaths and various injuries across many nations from not only New Zealand's disasters and tragedies, but of course around the Pacific, around the globe. We'll continue to promote the public education and awareness campaign, Get Ready, Get Through, and What's the Plan SAM, as I previously alluded to. But one point, Mr Chair, some people are trying to use the benefit of hindsight, and it's, hey, why didn't we do more in Christchurch about the earthquake, or predict perhaps the earthquake? Mr Chair, we didn't even know there was a fault line such as this under Christchurch. Research is crucial, but actually we The modelling, the knowledge was all about the Alpine fault, which we presume to be an issue, not what we've now discovered under Christchurch, Mr Chair.
Members, the question is that vote emergency management stand part of the schedule. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The question now is that vote racing stand part of the schedule. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The question now is that vote senior citizens stand part of the schedule. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The question now is that vote local government stand part of the schedule. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The question now is that vote Maori affairs stand part of the schedule.
Speaker, say aye.
Chair. The Honourable Parakura Horomia.
Kia ora, Mr Chair.